So MTV made another little thing with Lacy Green about why certain things are gendered that used to be the other way around. Still gendered, but what once was girl is now boy, and what once was boy is now girl. And without explaining why that is, she dropped a few points. So I'm going to go over these few points, not disagreeing about them, but I hope I'll be able to explain to you why. So here it goes. Bear with me.
Pink was for boys and blue is for girls. And now pink is for girls and blue is for boys, which means none of it has ever mattered.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't.
Do you think that women are naturally one way and men another?
Yes, I do think that men and women are different, but you're going to tell me they're not, right?
Well, a lot of the gender stereotypes that we use to define the sexes used to be the exact opposite. Pink was for boys and blue was for girls. A 1918 editorial stated that pink was a more decided and stronger color, more suitable for the boy, while blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is prettier for the girl.
How did this switch?
My instinctual reaction to this color is that this is for girls, even though I want to put this all over my body.
Damn it, son, if you want to be a man and live under my roof, you gotta wear pink.
I used to love fuchsia. That was my color, fuchsia. Because it sounded like future a little bit, and I had to default to blue. You know, I was growing up around a lot of dudes in Harlem. You know what I mean? You gotta went right back to blue.
Yeah, no. Little kids used to wear white. After a certain age, yes, you could use color, but then your parents had to have money because color costs money and you'll get your clothing dirty anyway. So yeah, kids wore white. But after a certain age, yes, pink was for boys, boys being small men, red being the color of men, light blue was for women, dark blue being the color of women. And you know what? If you want to wear fuchsia, I'm going to butcher that, then wear fuchsia. Who cares what color you wear? I mean, you can be dressed immaculately and still people will make fun of you. So who cares?
One of the weirdest situations I ever saw was when I was in a grocery store and I saw a little boy who really wanted this like pink cereal, and his father was like, "No, you want sports figures." And he was like, "I just like strawberries."
Why are we only gendering these two colors? Did orange do something bad?
Now that's a nice anecdote about the food thingy, but if it is true, then yeah, I agree with you. That's just stupid. I mean, let the boy eat strawberry. Who cares if it's pink? Hell, my favorite food is pink. It's a cook with glaze over it, and the glaze is pink, and it's... Never mind. It's delicious, and it's pink. I don't give a fuck. Oh, and why did colors become a male-female thing? Because it was made that way by people. I'm not going to say it was feminist, because I can't say that, because I simply don't know. I'm not going to say it was anti-feminist, because same reason. But yeah, who cares? It's a color. If you want to wear pink, wear pink. If you want to wear red, wear red. If you want to wear any color else, I mean, I wanted to say a few nice colors, but fuck it. Can't be arsed. So yeah, coloring is not a gendered thing.
High heels were originally for men. They were developed for Persian warriors, and then European men saw that and they were like, hey, I want some of that.
Yeah, this is partly right. Horseback warriors in Persia and the Middle East, bowmen usually, did wear heels. Why? Because they could stand in their stirrups and stay stabler, because the heel would basically make sure they wouldn't fall off the horse. And yes, in the Middle Ages, people in Europe started wearing high heels too, not because they saw warriors do this, but to show to the world how privileged they are. Because wearing high heels is pretty much a bitch if you're working, or if you have to walk, or if you have cobblestones or whatnot. Ask any woman in high heels, they will tell you it's not that easy to walk around with. We saw a revival of high heels during the 60s, for example, with men as well. But trust me, that wasn't work attire, that was leisure attire. So were high heels particularly for women only? Well, I know Prince died not too long ago, but you do realize that he wore heels till the day he died. So no, heels aren't particularly for women. Now, if we are going to talk about stiletto heels, then yeah, that's something typically only women wear. God knows why. Probably to prove to the world, see, I can walk around in this and not do anything at all because I don't have to do anything at all, but also because I can't do anything at all because of these fucking heels. Just my imagination, I guess.
What? Are you kidding me? I'm loving this because I'm 5'2", so bring this trend back so I could start dating in New York City.
Because they looked at this and they said, you know what's badass? Eventual back problem.
Yeah, I don't think that low heels like that will cause you back problems. And okay, the shoe you're showing there is particularly feminine. But again, there's no reason to say you cannot wear heels. Hell, have you ever seen a cowboy boot? They've got heels too, mate. They really do.
All I'm gonna say is, if you expect women today to wear high heels, then you better be wearing them too.
Okay, define high heels. Is 5 centimeters high enough or should it be higher? And you do know there's a difference between heels. I mean, not every heel is a stiletto, right?
Computer programming was once considered women's work. In the 1940s, when the first computers were built, it was primarily female mathematicians who wrote the programs. This job was considered below men who built the hardware.
Of course it was. And then guys were like, oh, you can make a whole lot of money doing this? And this is gonna be the future? Hey women, get out! Women got pushed out of technology in the same way that men got pushed out of emotions, and everyone suffers now.
You know, there was a guy who really wanted to do computer programming, but it was for women. Like, he probably had to tell his parents and he just didn't know how to do it.
In the 60s, Cosmo actually wrote that computer programming was just like planning dinner. Women are naturals at it.
I don't think either gender is a natural at computer programming. Having a dick or a vagina has nothing to do with computers.
Yeah, you're right. Women did used to write software. And they even advised males on how to make hardware better. Mind you, there were male software writers too. Let's not pretend that it was only women. But okay, somewhere along the line, women got more or less pushed out of software writing. But you know who's pushing the hardest now? Funny enough, women are. Because male software writers that learn that one of their colleagues is female, they're on top of the world. They're happy because they want women to be in that field. They really do. Just like gamers aren't only men but women too. This is not something they want women to stay out of. They want women in there. But then again, funny enough, this is true for just about anything in the STEM field. Why are women choosing to stay out of there? But I agree, this has nothing to do with whether you have a dick or a vagina.
Cheerleading started out as being too masculine for girls. Let me read this quote from The Nation in 1911. The reputation of having been a valiant cheerleader is one of the most valuable things that a boy can take away from college. Do you know who was a cheerleader? Dwight Eisenhower.
Franklin Roosevelt.
Ronald Reagan.
George W. fucking Bush.
All cheerleaders.
Oh my God, they need to rewrite like 7 Sweet Valley Highs.
Men, 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 men.
There are still men that are cheerleaders. It's not something from the past. There are still cheerleaders today. But yes, it was later that women also joined the cheerleading squads. But do you know why most professional football teams have only women as cheerleaders? Because guess what? Men like to look at fit women. But not only that, on average, women like to look at fit women. So there is that.
What we're learning here is that everything's for boys until it's not, and then it's for girls and boys can't touch it.
No, that's not what we're learning. There are still plenty of male cheerleaders out there. Less so than there used to be, but they are still there. But yeah, there are plenty of things where men used to do something and then women came in and then they don't want men to do those things anymore. Funny enough, for example, you're not allowed to have an all-men's cigar club, for example, or an all-men's fitness club. You're allowed to have an all-women fitness club, though, funny enough. So, yeah, I wonder how come.
Men, 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 men.
I think that's what we're learning.
Crying was considered manly for ages. It was seen as a sign of honesty, integrity, and strength.
This is just every guy trying not to cry. No, I'm not gonna miss you at all, man. You're my bro, but it's not. Fuck, is it hot in here, man? Sweat. Okay, well, did you see that? It's a little bead of sweat.
Let's bring back dudes crying. I'm into this trend. I think it's healthier for everyone to just let it out.
I cry all the fucking time. I've cried in bunk beds. I've cried in airports. I've cried on trains.
Crying is like bench pressing your tear ducts. Just gotta like work through that pain.
I think it's time the world is okay with men crying in public. Let's cry in public.
I've cried on the sidewalk. I've cried in a Target. I've cried in an escalator. And I've cried in front of one Apple employee who did give me a free computer. So I think that seems pretty manly to me.
Well, there you have it. Maybe masculine and feminine aren't quite as rigid as they seem. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, there are plenty of tales where men cried. World War stories, the Ilias, just name it. Throughout history, men cried. Funny enough, men stop doing certain things when they recognize that it will, how do you call this, diminish their position in the market for women. And women didn't like men crying. Women still don't like men crying. At the same time, women want men to cry. There's a small, how do you call it, gap between those two realities. It's not that men don't cry. It's not that men won't cry. Men do cry, but maybe not as out in the open. Though once men did cry like that. But on average, they don't get, how do you call this, applauded for their show of emotion. And this is the thing with most of it. All of the things you mentioned, the girls wearing pink, the high heels, the women doing programming and they were perceived as lesser. They were not perceived as lesser. Cheerleading just for women? No, there are still male cheerleaders. Okay, maybe not as many, but they are still there. And then men's tears. And I will have a link to just about everything we were talking about down below. But yeah, there are women not happy with men crying. And men hear these messages. So what do you think men will do? They'll stop crying. And they will teach their sons, don't cry because it's not perceived as manly. And you have to be manly if you want a mate. Look at all those feminists out there who are complaining about how men are too masculine. But at the same time, they don't go for the white knights. And if they go for the white knights, they treat them with disrespect. This is the whole thing. Out of the 5 examples you gave, I can agree with each and every one of them. The color thing, not important. It used to be one way or the other. Who cares? It's just a color. High heels, men are still wearing high heels. They're not wearing stilettos, but they're still wearing high heels. Who cares? Women doing the programming, yes. And with them doing the programming, they also gave advice to people creating the hardware. How is this a negative thing? Yeah, but women don't do programming anymore. Then why do you think that is? Cheerleading just for women. Okay, been over that. And yes, some of your presidents used to be cheerleaders. How come this is a women-only thing? Who says shit like that? Well, I know who says most of this shit. And it's mostly women saying that. Why? I mean, why? Anyway, as usual, criticism is more than welcome. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, all those things. And see you all next time.